Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome. Thank you. Good morning and welcome. We'll get underway. My name is Chris Gray. I'll be your facilitator for the day. I'll introduce myself in a little bit more detail in just a moment. But I'd like to begin proceedings by acknowledging today we meet on Darwin country and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. In terms of housekeeping, the evacuation procedure for here, if we need to evacuate, in a highly unlikely event of evacuation, we will move out of those doors under the direction of the team from Club Menangle. We'll go down the two sets of stairs and our meeting point is out the front doors, and then to the left is the green sign. We have a sign on an enrolment sheet and we'll check off people against that. That's if that happens. Telephones, please, could you put them to silent? I understand all of you are busy and have a lot of calls on, but if you could put them to silent, and then we'll check those during the breaks. Toilets are just out the door here to the right and then right again. COVID protocols, part of our life these days. During the course of the morning and afternoon, there will be an opportunity if people need a microphone to speak. The microphones are there and we will clean them off after each person has to speak. It's nothing to do whether you have a cold or anything like that. It's just a requirement of COVID protocols, and we all need to do our best to make sure we stay safe. Okay. Today's all about having a yarn. The whole idea and the whole purpose behind this is set it up so people can exchange ideas, and I'll go through that, as I said, in a little bit more detail. Yeah, I'm not real sure I need it. I'm an old high school teacher and I could see the fella mucking up in the back corner and hit him with a piece of chalk if need be. But if it works, that better. And also, what we're drawing in, which I think is pretty exciting, we have over 30 people joining us remotely online as well who couldn't be with us in the room today, and we welcome them. They come from all over New South Wales to be part of the discussion. So to get things rolling, to officially welcome you here, my pleasure to invite to the microphone to say a couple of words, Ken Brown, Chairman of Harness Racing New South Wales.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this, the 2021 Breeders and Owners Forum. As mentioned by Chris, in addition to those in attendance here at Tabcorp Menangle Park, we also have quite a number of participants joining us via a live stream service, and I do extend a similar welcome to them. Our industry's 2021-2023 strategic plan, titled Harness the Passion, is built on three basic pillars: sustain, enhance, innovate. As I indicated in my foreword in that strategic plan, the cornerstone of sustaining the industry must be shared prize money, increases of shared prize money, supported by incentives for owners and breeders, as well as providing operational infrastructure. A very important ingredient of the sustain pillar is the conduct of this particular forum, which is intended to be an annual event conducted each year at a time suitable to the industry. The range of topics to be discussed today have been assembled from input from the Breeders and Owners Association and other passionate industry participants and stakeholders. To assist in those discussions, those deliberations, we are fortunate to have the services of Mr. Chris Gray, who will, as he pointed out, will act as the facilitator of the forum. Chris, I'm sure, is well known to all of you. He has an extensive understanding, appreciation of our industry, and has over many years been an avid contributor to the welfare and well-being of the industry and its participants. Chris, on behalf of us all, I thank you for your assistance and support once again. It is much appreciated. Our thanks are also extended to Mr. Robert Marshall, his board of directors and management for permitting us the use of the Club Menangle facilities. And I do thank him for that, Robert. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, might I thank you in giving of your time, giving of your expertise in our collective endeavour of taking our industry forward for the benefit of all of its participants and all of its stakeholders. It is my hope you enjoy the occasion.
In putting the program together today and in gathering people's ideas, Harness Racing New South Wales put out a call for input. And in putting that call for input, they got a lot of different ideas and a lot of good proposals and suggestions from people. And then in talking to John and the team, it was broken up into areas that require just statements of how things work and how things operate, and then areas for discussion. And we'll go through the program in a bit of detail in a moment, but just to deal with things in terms of the things that need factual information, provide you with where things are at. John Dumas is going to make a brief presentation covering RISE, AI technicians, foaling down and rearing education, and breeding statistical information. John?
Thank you, Chris. As Chris indicated, we had a real lot of input from the industry. Of course, we can't cover it all in one day, but we have the impetus from the industry to take things forward. And the 4 subjects that Chris just mentioned are extremely important to our industry. The first one was the RISE and how it services the industry. Well, Racing Information Service Enterprise, at times referred to as the Harvey system, is the computer system that connects every component of the harness racing industry. When Harvey is down, the industry grinds to a stop, as we have experienced in the past. Harness Racing New South Wales in 2019 made the decision, along with all other states, to become a shareholder of the RISE system, Victoria having been the sole owner prior to that. And that information, as I say, drives the industry, the technology of the industry. Already there's been some enhancements. But in doing so, the main objective was to deliver automation to the benefit of industry stakeholders, and also to, when this process commenced, to help the regulators to deliver back to the industry. We've already seen messaging of owners when their horses are engaged, and also congratulating owners when the horses win here in New South Wales. Some of those services were in the system previously, but they were somewhat kept aside or protected by the owners. Participants in New South Wales from this upcoming renewal period will be able to undertake several online transactions, such as licensing, race colours, as well as change of ownership. However, the number one priority given to the RISE team is the payment of prize money, the percentage prize money, to all owners of horses individually, which is a major consideration that Harness Racing New South Wales looked at when we went into this system. The RISE board, which I am a member of, has been instructed that the development is to be completed by the end of this year, or by the commencement of the next racing season. So yes, there'll be some compliance issues there from owners, and to make sure the paperwork is all done with the percentage of ownerships, but this is a great step forward, and we can grow off that in other areas of sharing that the costs associated with training horses, be it as far as going as trainers will then be able to access that in the future to distribute their invoicing to respective owners. The very, very important, especially for breeders, is the AI technicians, and it's with regard to the retention and training of AI technicians. Harness Racing New South Wales, through our regulatory veterinarian Dr. Martin Wainscott, and the Education and Welfare Manager Morris Logue, will work with the New South Wales Veterinary Practices Board and the Department of Education and State Training Services to deliver approvals and training of non-veterinarians to carry out the service of artificial insemination. There is a vital need to replenish the number of people currently permitted under licence to artificially inseminate these mares. It was a long process just to get that approval from the Veterinary Practices Board. There is an opportunity also to secure education funding through government schemes, which will be sourced where possible. Another important point that we all experience, and perhaps most of the people in this room understand the importance of foaling down and rearing that foal through to maturity. Well, Harness Racing New South Wales, through the Media and Marketing Division, will produce a visual and educational tool to assist breeders with the important aspect of foaling down and rearing foals. The visual presentation, however, will also capture the critical time from conception to foaling, so as to assist with the health of the mare, and in turn, hopefully, a healthy foal will be born. This production will be placed on the Harness Racing New South Wales digital platforms for easy access to everybody, not only in New South Wales, but across Australia. One point that breeders, prospective breeders, have asked for year in, year out is breeding statistical information. Harness Racing New South Wales, in consultation with a select group of breeding-orientated participants, you are probably in this room today, will develop for publication data which provide prospective breeders an insight into the critical performances within the industry. Naturally, this research will require to be undertaken in conjunction with Harness Racing Australia and the willingness to provide information of key industry service providers such as stallion owners, promoters, studs, stallion promoters, studs, AI technicians and veterinarians. It is envisaged that this valuable publication will be released annually in May, June, so as to allow breeders the opportunity to make important decisions prior to the breeding season. These are all works in progress or about to commence, and they are vital for the industry. I encourage you all, if you see Harness Racing New South Wales falling behind with these projects, certainly give us a nudge and make sure we're taking it forward, because they are the very points that you put forward, not you individually, but the industry put forward to enhance where we're moving into the 2022, 23, 24 and beyond. Thank you.
Anyone's got questions on any of those, please catch up with John in any of the breaks. Now, I think I almost have to stand here. Okay. Let's get down to the talking bit. A bit about my background. As Ken mentioned, I have a long association, particularly with the Gold Crown at Bathurst. I've been involved in that, doing the promotions and marketing with the team up there for, well, 30 odd years now. Had a short time when I was at Harness Racing New South Wales, worked as their marketing manager, and my interest in this sport goes back to the glory days of going to Harold Park on a Friday night when I was a student at uni. Do I need to have this mic over? Yeah. Thank you. In relation to facilitation, just to give you an idea of the sort of work we do, I do a lot of this sort of work for corporate entities, for the Downer Group, for example, in relation to a lot of their environment and health and safety management. One of the groups I'm responsible for, if there's a major marine oil or chemical spill anywhere in Australia today, the person coordinating that response is the incident controller. And when they walk into the control room, there's a tab that says environmental management. They push that tab and a list of 50 names drop down. It's my job to make sure, to facilitate that group to make sure they're up to speed. We do a lot of community-based facilitation as well, so I've been at this for a little bit of time. And what I know with this sort of thing is that you need to structure the event so everyone gets the opportunity to have a say, okay? And that's what my brief was from Harness Racing New South Wales, and that's a bit tricky. You have 50 people in the room, we have 30 people coming in remotely, and everyone with a strong opinion. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here in giving us your time on a Saturday, which is greatly appreciated, if you didn't have opinions on these things. But if you said to people, right, we've got 50 people, we've got 5 minutes each, that's 250 minutes with a couple of breaks, that's all we get. And we wouldn't get anything, to my view, worthwhile in terms of discussion. So we're trying today, with a view to future forums using this, 2 different methods of engagement and facilitation and discussion, and we really welcome your feedback on that. In the first 2 sessions, if you have a look at the program, they're going to be, the first session 1 is going to be on bonuses, and session 2 is going to continue that discussion. It's going to be on bonuses as well. And session 1 We're going to have a brief presentation on sustaining fees, eligibility of 2, 3, 4-year-olds and older horses, and Group 1 bonuses. At that point, once those presentations are complete, we're going to be saying to the people at each table, right, kick it around. You have one form in front of you, an individual feedback form. If you can get hold of that, I want to walk you through that. This first form is for you. The individual form is to write down, if you put your name, email address, contact phone number, address, and if you flip it over, you'll see the first topic we're going to be talking about is sustaining fees. If you think from what you know or what you've discussed or what you hear there are advantages of the current system, scribble them down. If you have suggested improvements of the current system, scribble them down. If you have other ideas and suggestions, scribble them down, okay? But during or through discussion, all right? Why we've given you this is the primary point of today is to get people together and to talk. Because if you don't talk, nothing changes. To get talk and swap ideas, because as we said, we've got committed people here to swap ideas. But we also want you, because I know in doing this a lot, there are some people in the room that when there's a group of people talking, they may have a really good idea, they're a bit shy about offering it. Or they may think, oh no, maybe not. But we want to capture everyone's ideas and suggestions. So during the course of the day, we'll be looking, and we're not looking for essays, but for you to scribble your thoughts. The other thing, the other form on the table, there's only one of these, is a group discussion form. If you could grab that, it's on the centre of each table. What we want you to do is to write down your group member names on that, and we'll tell you how that's all going to work. And we want someone, and I'll tell you how group structure in a minute, a scribe to scribble the group thoughts of advantages, suggested improvements, and other ideas and suggestions. So your primary purpose in being here today is to kick things around, talk about stuff, but this individual form is to also for us to capture your other thoughts. If you think it didn't get a chance to get raised, or you think it's something new, or something you think of, like, I know you've got to duck away early, right? Please take that form with you, and if you come up with other ideas, please get it and send it back to Harness Racing. That's what we're looking for. You've all volunteered to be here. You're all here because you've got ideas and you've got ideas on how things can be better. That's what we want. That's the purpose of today. Okay? In relation to, yeah, I can't read that. It's an awful thing getting old, isn't it? How to get the most out of today. Please listen hard to what everyone has to say. I know you have firm opinions, but listen. What I mean by listen hard is just really say, where's this person coming from? What are they trying to tell me? That's a critical thing in any facilitation and any group discussion. Listen hard to what they've got to say. Really jump on the opportunity to tell your group what you think, right? In relation to that. You may have the capacity to influence what other people put on their individual opinion forms, but tell the other people what you think. Keep in mind, this is not the end. Harness Racing New South Wales, thank you. Harness Racing New South Wales is not going to... I'll be back in front of the camera. Thank you. Harness Racing New South Wales is not going to collect all these forms, write them all up, and that's it, and not talk to you anymore. That's not the way consultation works. This is the beginning of a consultation process that's going to go on for a long time. But it's the sounding, it's the selling of ideas to people and swapping ideas and seeing where people are coming from. And in relation to differences of opinion, more than welcome. Absolutely more than welcome. That's why you're here, because you've got differences of opinion. But any criticisms that come up that are personal, not allowed. Okay? We're not going to have that. That doesn't contribute to a constructive discussion. If it's about an idea, by all means, have differences of opinion. But no personal criticisms, not going to work. Okay? We've talked about how the program's going to work. Now, you're going to be divided, as we said, into groups. And there's some pretty good rules in relation to how groups can work effectively. If it gets too noisy in the room for your group, we've got a table set up for 10. We've got 2 tables out there. If you want to take your group up and out and sit around that table out there to kick your ideas around and make sure people are heard. But in each group, at the beginning of the discussion, I want you to select a chair, right? I want you to select a note taker, and please, if someone who volunteers for that, if your handwriting can be reasonably legible, it's helpful. So I never volunteer for note taker, ever. We will be asking someone to play the role of timekeeper to keep us on task, and someone to play the role of spokesperson. and we'll tell you why that's needed as well. And I'll remind each group as we go around. If you're the chair, and what I would suggest during the course of the day, you'll be breaking into groups on 4 occasions. I would suggest that you rotate. You rotate the role of the chair, you rotate the role of the spokesperson, you rotate the role of the note taker, and rotate the role of the timekeeper, if you wish. It's just a helpful thing to do. If you're the chair, you must make sure the objective of the discussion is very clear, what we're trying to do here. And if you're not real sure, put your hand up, and either myself or John will come along and we'll have a bit of a yarn to you. Okay, please, because we want to make the most of your time. As the chair, you want to try and give every person the opportunity to have a say, right, around your table. And as the chair, manage the conversation. I'm sure there's no one in this room like that, but we strike that from time to time. Someone who wants to dominate the conversation, just manage them. If you're the note taker, don't even dream about trying to capture everything that's said. All we want is the essence of what's being discussed on your group form. That's your group form we want you to be filling in. And at the end of the discussion, timekeepers give the note taker a minute or two to say, okay, this is what I've got. Is this a fair reflection of our discussion? And I will be moving around to make sure people are comfortable with that. If you're the timekeeper, don't be shy about reminding all the group members how much time they have left for the discussion. That's your role. You remind the chair, you're in the group, because we will be, you could talk about some of these things all day, I know, but we don't have all day and we want to cover a lot of ground, right? We don't have all day to discuss one thing. We're looking to cover a lot of ground, to gather the essence of ideas to build on. And along with the chair, as a timekeeper, it's your job to make sure everyone stays on task, and the spokesperson. If you're unsure about, because you're going to have to get up in front of the group and you're going to tell everyone else in the room what you discussed, what you thought the advantages of some systems were and what the disadvantages were and what some of the suggestions had been. Right? So you need to be confident in doing that. It's a tough gig, public speaking, for many people. Right? So you need to be confident in it. So if you're going to be the spokesperson, listen to what the note taker's reading out, read it and make sure you're comfortable with it. Even say it back to your group saying, okay, this is what I'm going to tell them. Is everyone okay with that? To really drill into that, because politicians, I think, are the only people who can get up there and confidently look you in the eye and say, I really believe this, even though they don't. None of us are polished enough to do that, except for those who get a lot of training in it. So if you're going to be the spokesperson, be confident and competent in what you say. Beamed in remotely, we have also sent you a copy of the form where you write down your thoughts and your feedback, and the instructions on how to do that. You can download the form either directly onto your desktop and type straight in, or if you haven't been able to do that, or if you want to print the form and handwrite on your form. So when we send the groups off to have their discussions, those people who are coming into us remotely, that's when we need you to be sitting down and thinking about what you think the issues are. And we'll also be very clear to you as to time as to when the group will be resuming discussion as well. Okay. That's it. Let's get to work, folks. Let's have a really, really good day. I'm pretty excited about what we can hold up. It's going to be intense. I can guarantee you one thing, you will have a headache at the end of the day. This sort of long-term discussion with all the different ideas and views that are going to come at you. So just reminding, when we break into groups, chair, timekeeper, spokesperson, and the note taker. Rotate that around. Note takers, chairs, timekeeper and spokesperson. Rotate that around. Keep an eye on it. Fill in the group form is our main one for the group. And then your individual form is, fill in your individual form at the end of the time, right? When you think the group hasn't covered or you want to add any extra. That's what that's for, right? We're looking for that sort of feedback, and we'll be collecting the forms at the end of the day. Right, John, let's get to work.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm not a school teacher. Chris is, and you can see that by his delivery. It took me back to primary school, about the time I left school. But anyway, the first session is about bonuses. Now, the theme through all of these of what we have received through many submissions, many thoughts, many comments, some people believe that bonuses are really an alternate to prize money. Do we think that? Well, Harness Racing New South Wales has bonuses, and we see something in that. But you're here, you're in the room, you are going to share ideas. There may be views, as I say, in this room that contradict what I just said, agree with what I just said, what we can take forward. In FY22, the upcoming financial year, there are $3 million in New South Wales Breeders' Challenge bonuses budgeted. But the lens for today is to examine and explore the key components which make up the costs and the returns. These being, I turn my page, the sustaining fees, how they work, what we pay, is the amount over the top? Is it under? Is there a better way? Some of the submissions were there should be only one fee, paid once. Then we don't have the problem with, which I've experienced myself. Haven't I, Alana, where I've been overjoyed with a horse winning and that I bred, but the owner didn't pay the sustaining fee. I was very disappointed after that. Eligibility to receive bonuses, whether they're 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds, or whether we cut it off after 4-year-olds, which I'll be very clear, and these notes are in your pack there. We have a decision on the table at the moment on the board resolution that the older than 4-year-olds will expire at the end of what was the old racing season. And of course there's Group 1 bonuses. I'm sure everybody knows what the Group 1 bonuses are, and I say that with tongue in cheek because it's a bonus that we pay and other states pay also when a horse is successful outside of the bonus system in Group 1 races. For example, and Alana is the very best at making sure everybody gets their bonuses. She paid a participant, what was it, $20,000 the other day, and he may not have been aware that he was actually going to receive that $20,000 through the success of horses he had bred, and it's a breeder's bonus, he had bred in Group 1 races interstate. I also had another owner contact me that thought that they might get one for winning a 4-year-old race. Unfortunately, sir, if you're in the room, you won't be getting that bonus. But they're the things we need to think about. So, as Chris says, heads down, share ideas, respect everyone's ideas. Nobody is the smartest person in the room. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's opinion should be respected. So thank you, and back over to you, Chris.
Thanks, John. Okay. As John mentioned, notes are there that were sent out or given to you on the table this morning, information about those issues that we have. On the program, you'll note that we have allocated close to an hour for this discussion, so timekeepers. We will be timekeepers, so whoever volunteers for that job, we'll be calling you to order at 10:30 to go and get yourself a cup of tea. Time now is 9:15. Now, if this discussion runs out of gas on those those topics on sustaining fees, eligibility, and Group 1 bonuses, we've got the flexibility to call you back into the room. Okay? But what we want you to do is kick around using your group form first. As a group, first of all, pick your chair, pick your note keeper, keep your timekeeper and your spokesperson, and then chair, guide the discussion to discuss sustaining fees, keeping in mind your notes are there, discuss eligibility, keeping in mind your notes are there, and discuss Group 1 bonuses, what you think the advantages are of the current system, what you think needs improvement, and any other ideas and suggestions, and scribble them down. Okay. Have a cup of tea, then we're going to have a reporting back session, right? We're going to have a reporting back session. The way I plan to run the reporting back session, they tell me there probably will be a commonality, what they like and what they think could be improved and any other ideas. And then I'll ask the other 3 tables from this morning, is there anything they would like to add, right? Rather than covering the same ground. So it'll be, reporting back will be Group 1 and Group 4 will be reporting back to the morning session. So Groups 2, 3 and 5, listen hard to what 1 and 4, if you're the spokesperson, are saying, and say, all right, they've covered that, but these are the new ideas, and we'll give you the opportunity to raise those as well, okay? And then in the next session, you guys will be listening hard to what these tables have to say and seeing if there's a commonality. That's the way we're going to work it, rather than have us cover all 5 tables covering all of the topics, okay? That's our plan of attack. As we said, there's a table outside if you think it's going to be too noisy in here. Are we clear with what we're kicking around? You have the notes, you have the topics that we want you to talk about, which are sustaining fees, foals 2 and 3-year-old series, eligibility, 2, 3, 4-year-old and older horses, eligibility for bonuses, Group 1 bonuses. In the next session, just so you know, so you don't move into that, we're going to be talking about sharing bonuses between breeders and owners, 50-50, bonus certificates versus cash, that discussion, and prize money distribution to owners, trainers, breeders and stallion owners. In the program, we'll be trying something different by way of facilitation. Instead of presentation group discussion, instead it'll be presentation open forum. We're going to try that in this afternoon. The presentations are going to cover group racing classifications, trotters, guaranteed fillies and mares races and colonial stallions, ownership, partnership syndicates and fractional, mares incentive schemes. So we've got Bruce Christian is going to talk about group racing classifications, David Wanson about trotters, guaranteed fillies and mare races, Alex Smith's going to talk about that, and Darren Ray talk about colonial stallions, and that'll be an open forum after those presentations. And then in the last session of the day, it's the outside the stall session. That is, okay, let's come up with something really silly. Not really silly, no, something innovative, something new. Like imagine the Australian Cricket Board sitting around a few years back and say, how about we come up with this game where we only give 2 teams 20 overs each, we play it in one day, we play it under lights, we bring in players from all over the world and call them New South Wales or Thunder. Not going to work? Well, it did, okay? We're looking for that point of difference idea that can improve and help the industry to grow. And that's what this final session's about. And we're going to have presentations there from Daniel Cordina on ownership, mares incentive schemes from Flora Robson, and multiple season breeding from Rob Nalder. That's our plan of attack for today. Rightio. So, right on time. There you go. So, groups, into your groups, organise your chair, organise your timekeeper, organise your spokesperson and your note taker. Kick those ideas around, discussing sustaining fees, eligibility, Group 1 bonuses, and get yourself a cup or two during the course of the discussion. You know where the loos are, and I'll be wandering around the room. And as I said, if the conversation runs out of steam, we'll break early and get going early with the next session. Any questions about process? All right, let's get to work. Let's have a yarn. Thank you. One last thing, folks, I should have mentioned, my fault. We have board members with